Have you ever sat across the dinner table from your spouse, reached out instinctively for their hand, and hesitated? Maybe you used to take her hand without a second thought. But now, there's a pause, a subtle withdrawal. Not because the love is gone, but because something has changed. You cannot quite explain it, and so you stay silent. For many men over 60, this is not just a moment, it is a pattern. Intimacy, once effortless, begins to feel uncertain. There is no loud conflict, no dramatic argument. Just small spaces that grow between two people who still love each other. A missed gaze, a hand that goes unheld, a bedroom that grows quieter. And at the centre of it all is a quiet, unspoken truth. Things are no longer the same during intimacy. You feel it, even if you cannot say it out loud. Maybe you have difficulty maintaining an erection. Maybe your desire is still there, but your body does not respond. Maybe you try, and it goes halfway, then fades. And every time it happens, you feel a little smaller, a little more unsure of who you are. So you stop initiating, you stop reaching out. You tell yourself it is just age, just normal. But inside, it does not feel normal. It feels like loss. Your wife notices the change, she senses the distance, but she does not know what you are feeling. And maybe you are not sure how to tell her. She may wonder if you are no longer interested. She may feel hurt, but stay quiet too. And suddenly, the silence is not just in the bedroom, it is in the air between you, everywhere. But here is the truth. You are not broken, you are not alone. And this moment does not have to be the end of intimacy. What you are experiencing is more common than you think. It is not a reflection of failure, it is a signal from your body and your mind that something needs attention, that something in you is asking to be understood, not ignored. You may think, at this age, what can I really do? But age is not the problem. Silence is. Avoidance is. Believing that change is no longer possible is the real danger. The question is not, why is this happening? The real question is, what is this trying to tell me? In this video, we are going to walk together through that question. We will explore the physical and emotional changes that can make intimacy difficult. We will look at what science says about blood flow, hormones, and stress. But more importantly, we will look at what happens in the heart. What happens when a man feels he is losing connection, not just with his wife, but with himself. This is not about blame. This is about understanding. Because with the right awareness, with small but consistent steps, you can restore more than just sexual function. You can restore confidence, connection, warmth, and the quiet joy of reaching for her hand again. Not with hesitation, but with peace. Let's begin. To understand why intimacy changes after the age of 60, we must begin with what is happening inside the body and also inside the mind. Let's start with the physical side. Erections are primarily a matter of blood flow. When a man is aroused, his brain sends signals that cause blood vessels in the penis to relax. This allows blood to rush in, creating firmness. But as we age, this process can begin to break down. One of the main reasons is reduced circulation. As men get older, their arteries can become stiffer and narrower. This makes it harder for blood to move quickly and effectively through the body. Since the blood vessels in the penis are some of the smallest in the body, they are often the first to show signs of trouble. That's why many men with high blood pressure, high cholesterol, or early heart disease also experience erectile difficulties. These conditions interfere with the ability of blood to flow freely, and when blood cannot get to where it needs to go, erections suffer. Another major factor is testosterone. Testosterone is the primary male hormone. It drives libido, energy, and physical confidence. After the age of 30, testosterone levels begin to decline gradually, about 1% each year. By the time a man is in his 60s or 70s, his testosterone may be significantly lower than it was in his younger years. This does not just reduce desire, it affects stamina, mental clarity, and the ability to respond to physical stimulation. Some men describe it as feeling flat or disconnected from their own bodies. But hormones and circulation are not the only factors. There is also the issue of muscle strength, specifically the strength of the pelvic floor. These are the muscles that support the base of the pelvis. They help control both erection and ejaculation. Like any other muscle, they weaken with age if not used or trained. Many men have never been told that strengthening their pelvic floor can directly improve their sexual performance, and yet simple exercises, known as Kegel exercises, can have a powerful effect. But perhaps the most overlooked piece of the puzzle is the mind. Anxiety is one of the biggest obstacles to sexual function. After one or two disappointing experiences, many men begin to carry fear into the bedroom. That fear releases stress hormones, especially cortisol, which restrict blood flow and suppress natural arousal signals. The more fear a man feels, the more likely he is to fail. And the more he fails, the more fear grows. It becomes a silent loop. A man wants to perform, he worries that he will not. His worry triggers tension, which shuts down his body's ability to respond. And so the cycle continues. This is why so many men say, "It's not that I don't want to, it's that I feel blocked." Stress, fatigue, unresolved emotional issues, and even hidden feelings of shame can all interfere with intimacy. Sometimes the issue is not physical at all, it is mental or emotional, or both. And this creates a second layer of pain. Because when a man feels like he is no longer in control of his own body, it affects his confidence, not just in the bedroom, but in life. He may stop taking initiative, avoid affection, and begin to withdraw. He feels less like himself. And his partner, not knowing what is going on, may feel rejected or confused. The result is a growing emotional distance, one that began with something physical, but became something relational. So what can we learn from this? That erectile dysfunction is never just about the penis. It is about the body, the mind, and the relationship between the two. And to truly improve, we must look at all three. It is not about blaming age. It is about listening to what the body is telling us and responding with care, not shame. Because when we understand the real roots of the problem, we are no longer stuck. We can take action. And every small step forward brings not just physical improvement, but emotional healing as well. In the next section, we will explore why erectile dysfunction might not just be a personal issue, but a warning sign from your body that something deeper is going on. Most men think of erectile dysfunction as a private matter, something personal, something that belongs only in the bedroom. But the truth is, ED is often the body's first way of saying, pay attention. Something deeper may be wrong. That is because the penis is part of a much larger system, the circulatory system, and in many ways it is one of the most sensitive parts. The blood vessels in the penis are smaller than those in the heart, the brain, or even the legs. That means they are often the first to show signs of trouble when circulation is poor. Think of it like this. If water stops flowing from the smallest tap in your house, it might be a sign that pressure is dropping somewhere else. The same is true for blood flow. Studies show that erectile dysfunction can appear 2 to 5 years before the first symptoms of heart disease. In some men, ED is the very first clue that their arteries are starting to clog. If caught early, it can be a warning, not of failure, but of opportunity. A chance to act before something more serious happens. One major contributor is diabetes. High blood sugar damages the small nerves and vessels that carry signals to the penis. Over time, this reduces sensitivity and makes arousal more difficult. Many men do not even realize they have early diabetes until they begin noticing changes in sexual function. High blood pressure is another issue. When pressure is too high for too long, it weakens and damages the inner walls of blood vessels. This not only reduces their ability to carry blood, it also makes them less responsive to the signals that trigger an erection. And then there is cholesterol. When LDL, or bad cholesterol, builds up in the arteries, it creates plaque. These plaques narrow the vessels and restrict flow. If blood cannot move quickly and freely into the penis, an erection cannot be maintained, no matter how much desire is present. But what makes this more concerning is that all these conditions, diabetes, hypertension, cholesterol, often show no symptoms in their early stages. You might feel fine, you might be active and alert, and yet your blood vessels could already be struggling. That is why erectile dysfunction should not be ignored. It is not just a sexual issue, it is a health issue, a signal from your cardiovascular and nervous systems that something is changing and action is needed. The good news is this signal comes early, and if you listen, if you respond, not with shame but with understanding, you can make changes that protect not just your intimacy but your life. In the next section, we will turn to the emotional side of this journey. What happens inside a man when he begins to feel that his body is no longer responding? And how does that inner battle affect the relationship he shares with his partner? When a man begins to lose confidence in his ability to perform, the effects ripple far beyond the bedroom. At first it may be subtle. He pulls away from a hug. He avoids eye contact when changing clothes. He turns over a little quicker at night, pretending to be tired. But beneath those small actions is a growing storm, a fear he cannot quite name and a silence he does not know how to break. For many men, intimacy is more than a physical act. It is a statement of vitality, of connection, of masculinity. So when that begins to falter, something deeper is shaken, their sense of self. And yet instead of speaking up, they retreat. Why? Because admitting to sexual difficulty feels, for many, like admitting to failure. It challenges their identity, especially if they have always seen themselves as the strong one, the provider, the partner in control. Saying, "I'm struggling," feels like exposing a weakness they were never taught how to talk about. So they say nothing. They wait, hoping it will resolve on its own. They avoid the moments that might lead to intimacy. They turn to distraction, television, work, long hours of silence. But the truth is, avoidance never heals. It only deepens the wound. Meanwhile, their partner notices the change. She may not say anything at first either. She may assume he is just tired or stressed. But over time she begins to feel the distance. The warmth they once shared, the simple gestures, the unspoken closeness starts to fade. And without explanation, hurt begins to grow. She might wonder, is he no longer attracted to me? She might question her own body, her own desirability. And in that unspoken space, pain starts to bloom on both sides. The man ashamed and afraid. The woman confused and doubting. Neither knows what the other is truly feeling. This is how intimacy is lost. Not through a single moment, but through many days of not speaking, not touching, not reaching out. And the irony is, the very thing both partners long for, connection, is the thing they both believe the other no longer wants. But here is the truth. Most of the time, the love is still there. The care is still there. What is missing is the language to talk about what is happening. What is missing is permission to be vulnerable. It is not weakness to say, "Something has changed, and I do not know how to fix it." It is courage. And yet so many men carry this weight alone, believing that they must solve it silently or not at all. They compare themselves to who they once were, instead of recognizing that change does not mean loss. It means adjustment, and adjustment is possible. The emotional toll of erectile dysfunction is not just about the loss of performance. It is about the loss of confidence, the loss of closeness, the loss of ease between two people who once shared everything. But it does not have to stay that way. In the next section, we will explore what happens when a man chooses to speak, not perfectly but honestly, when he stops hiding, and what can change in a relationship the moment truth takes the place of silence. It often begins with a whisper. A man who has been carrying the weight of uncertainty, shame, and silence finally gathers the courage to speak. Maybe it is after weeks of hesitation. Maybe it is late at night or during a quiet walk. But the moment comes. "I don't feel like myself lately," he says. "I've been afraid and I didn't know how to tell you." This simple truth, spoken not with pride but with honesty, can change everything. For many couples, the act of saying something real, of naming the quiet pain between them, becomes a doorway back to connection. It doesn't fix everything in an instant, but it breaks the silence. And that alone is powerful, because most wives are not waiting for perfection. They are waiting for presence, for openness, for the chance to understand what is happening inside the person they love. When a man chooses to open up, what often follows is not rejection but relief. She finally understands. She finally knows it was not about her, that he still cares, that the distance was not lack of desire but fear. And in that understanding, something beautiful happens. The pressure softens. The tension begins to melt. This is the moment when healing can begin, not through pills or procedures alone, but through honesty, through human connection, through saying, "I want us to be close again. I miss what we had, and I believe we can find it again, even if it looks a little different now." No one expects youth to return, But intimacy in later life can be even more meaningful because it is built not just on passion, but on trust, on memory, on years of choosing each other again and again. One conversation may not fix every problem, but it can restore the most important thing, hope. And when hope returns, effort follows, openness returns, small gestures begin again. And from there something new can grow, something grounded, mature, and deeply loving. In the next section, we will look at how to support this emotional reconnection with physical changes, gentle, natural practices that help the body respond once again. Rebuilding confidence in intimacy is not only about emotion, it is also about giving the body what it needs to respond well. Thankfully, many of the changes that support sexual function are simple, natural, and entirely within reach. You do not need to rely on medication right away. You can begin with small, daily steps that nourish your body from the inside out. Let's start with the most essential piece, circulation. Erections require a strong, steady flow of blood. If your blood vessels are stiff, narrow, or blocked, the flow becomes restricted, and so does your ability to maintain an erection. To improve circulation, the first tool is movement. Walking briskly for just 20 to 30 minutes a day can make a major difference. So can light cycling, swimming, or dancing. These gentle activities strengthen the heart and keep blood vessels elastic and responsive. Even basic leg and arm movements after waking up can stimulate blood flow. Alongside movement, your diet matters deeply. Foods rich in nitric oxide, a compound that helps blood vessels relax, can boost your body's ability to send blood where it's needed. These include beets, watermelon, spinach, arugula, and dark leafy greens. Try incorporating them into salads, smoothies, or steamed dishes throughout the week. Now let's talk about hormones. Testosterone, the male sex hormone, plays a key role in libido, energy, and muscle maintenance. As men age, levels of testosterone naturally decline, but you can support healthy hormone production by getting enough sleep, staying active, and eating nutrient-dense foods. Focus on zinc-rich foods such as pumpkin seeds, beef, lentils, and oysters. Healthy fats like avocados, olive oil, and fatty fish, salmon, sardines. Vitamin D, through sun exposure or supplements, especially during winter months. Resistance training, such as lifting light weights or using resistance bands, can also boost testosterone when done regularly and safely. Just 2 to 3 sessions a week can support hormonal health. Another overlooked but powerful area, the pelvic floor muscles. These muscles, located deep in the lower abdomen and pelvis, support your bladder, bowels, and sexual organs. When strong, they help control erection and ejaculation. When weak, they lead to loss of firmness and control. Kegel exercises are a simple way to strengthen them. To try a Kegel. First, locate the muscles you use to stop urinating midstream. Contract those muscles for 5 seconds. Relax for 5 seconds. Repeat 10 times, 2 to 3 times a day. You can do this while sitting, lying down, or even walking. No one will know you are doing them, but over time many men report stronger, longer-lasting erections and greater control. Finally, let's not forget the role of stress. Stress increases cortisol levels, which constrict blood vessels and interfere with sexual response. That is why relaxation is not just a luxury, it is a necessity for sexual health. Try deep breathing for 5 minutes each morning, a short evening walk without your phone, turning off screens 30 minutes before bedtime, listening to calming music or nature sounds. All of these activities help shift your body from a state of tension to a state of openness. And when your body is calm, it is much more capable of responding to intimacy. You do not need perfection. You need consistency. A few small changes done daily can support blood flow, restore hormone balance, and rebuild physical confidence. And when combined with emotional openness, these habits become powerful. Because they are not just about performance, they are about care. About listening to your body and giving it what it needs, gently and patiently. In the next section, we will look at how the emotional bond between two people, nurtured daily, can support and enhance everything you are building physically. While physical health plays a vital role in intimacy, emotional connection is what truly sustains it, especially in later life. After the age of 60, many couples shift into a new season of their relationship. The rush of youth gives way to something quieter, something deeper. There are fewer distractions, more time at home, and often more awareness of how precious the relationship has become. But that also means that any sense of distance or disconnection is felt more strongly. This is why nurturing emotional closeness is not just helpful, it is essential. Emotional intimacy is built through simple things done regularly. A shared cup of tea in the morning, a quiet walk at dusk, a gentle hand on the back. A compliment not about appearance, but about presence. I'm glad you're here with me. When a couple prioritizes emotional presence, physical connection often follows more naturally. Not because they are trying to force it, but because the space between them feels safe again. So how do you rebuild that connection? Start with communication, but not the kind that fixes, the kind that listens. Ask questions like, how have you been feeling lately? Is there anything you've been missing from me? What makes you feel close to me? And then listen, not with judgment or defense, but with openness. You can also try using simple daily affirmations. Say something kind to your partner each morning. It can be as small as thank you for making breakfast, or I love seeing your smile. These are the moments that stitch hearts back together. Touch is also a powerful communicator. Even if sex is not yet back on the table, physical affection should not disappear. Hold hands while watching a movie, sit close, rub their shoulder. These gestures say, I still choose you. It is important to remember that intimacy is not only about what happens in the bedroom. It is about emotional safety, shared trust and mutual respect. Many couples find that their later life intimacy becomes more meaningful than it ever was in youth. Not because their bodies are stronger, but because their bond is. They know each other's fears, they have weathered storms. They understand that real love is not about performance, it is about presence. When you create an atmosphere of emotional safety, it becomes easier to be vulnerable. And when you are vulnerable, your partner sees the real you, not the version you think you must be, but the one who is honest, open, and still growing. This kind of connection is not only healing, it is magnetic. The more connected you feel emotionally, the more responsive your body becomes physically. It is all tied together. So if your goal is to restore intimacy, begin with presence. Begin with listening. Begin with quiet, daily acts of attention and watch what happens, not overnight, but gradually, with care, with consistency. In the final section, we will bring all of this together and leave you with a message of encouragement for your health, your relationship, and the next chapter of your life. Reaching the later years of life does not mean you have to give up on intimacy, passion, or emotional connection. In fact, this stage of life offers something that no youth ever could: depth. You have lived, you have learned, you have loved through good times and hard times, and now you have the chance to love with even greater intention. Erectile dysfunction is not a sign that you are finished. It is not a statement about your worth. It is a signal, a call to care for your body, your mind, and your relationship with more gentleness than ever before. You have seen in this video that change is possible. You have learned that blood flow, hormones, muscle strength, and stress all play a role, and that each one can be improved step by step. You have seen that honesty with your partner can dissolve years of distance in a single heartfelt conversation. And you have been reminded that the true foundation of lasting love is not performance, it is presence. So what now? Start small. Maybe today you go for a walk. Maybe you add leafy greens to your lunch. Maybe you do 3 minutes of breathing before bed. Maybe, most importantly, you take your partner's hand and say, I want us to feel close again. That is how it begins, not with a big dramatic fix, but with one intentional step. And from that step, a path begins to open. The truth is, love does not fade with time, it deepens. If you care for it, if you feed it, if you speak gently to it and keep showing up for it. So if you are feeling discouraged, let this be your reminder. You are not too old. You are not too far gone. Your best years of connection may still be ahead of you, if you choose to meet them with hope and courage. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. And if this message spoke to you, please consider sharing it with someone you love. Because every man deserves to know, intimacy does not end with age, it transforms. And that transformation can be the most meaningful chapter yet.